In this tutorial, we'll look at forces. So let's begin. What is a force? So a force is a pull or push exerted on an object. A pull or push exerted on an object is called a force. So what is the symbol? Which symbol do we use for forces? The symbol we use for force is capital letter F. Then SI units. What are the SI units for force? So the SI units are newtons. Newtons, after a scientist, Isaac Newton. Then what instrument do we use when measuring force? So the instrument we use is called the spring balance. The spring balance is what is used to measure a force. Now, what are some of the examples? Examples of forces. We have different examples of forces, but some of the common ones include weight. We have normal force. We have frictional force. We have electric force. Then we also have tension. We have magnetic force. Then we also have upthrust. These are some of the common examples of forces. Then, what are the effects of forces? What are the effects of forces on an object? Effects of forces on an object. So some of the effects include, number one, changes. When a force is applied on an object, it changes the size and the shape of an object. The size and the shape of an object. So let's take, for instance, if this is a bottle. Now, let's imagine this is maybe this bottle is made of a plastic bottle. So when a force is applied on this plastic bottle, what will happen? The shape of this bottle will change because of the force that was applied there. So hence we can say that indeed force changes the shape. And this one also gives us the reason why when a car has been involved in a road accident, it gets deformed. Its shape changes from the normal shape. Now, what is the other effect of force? So when the force is applied on an object, it changes the motion of an object. Changes the motion of an object. What does that mean? This means that if a body or an object was moving slow, then a force is applied on an object, the body might accelerate. For instance, if a body is moving, if this is the body, now this body is moving 2 meters per second, then a force is exerted here. This might increase the speed from this to any greater force, any greater speed compared to this one. So it means that it is accelerating. Then, other than that, a force might also change the. A force can also decelerate an object. If an object is moving very fast, let's imagine this same object, is moving at 2 meters per second. Then, when a force is applied, it can change the speed at which this object is moving, reducing its speed. That is one way in which a force does affect the object. Sometimes it can be moving with uniform acceleration. When a force is applied to that object, it might either accelerate or decelerate, or maybe move with a uniform motion. The third way in which the third effect of forces is that it makes it makes objects to rotate. It makes objects rotate. So we can think of centripetal force, a force that enables an object to be moving around a circle in a circular path. What causing that? It is a force. The force is enabling the body to continue moving in a circular path. Sometimes you can have a pivot. Let's say this is the pivot, then there's an object. Let's say this is the pivot, then this is the horizontal bar attached here. So when a force is applied here, it will turn this object there. No wonder we are saying it can rotate objects or turn objects about the pivot. Those are some of the common effects of forces. Now let's move on to the laws of motion. The laws of motion. So basically, we have 3 laws of motion. The first one is Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion. This states that any object or body continues in its state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless an external force is applied on it. So we are saying Newton's first law of motion states that any body continues in its state of rest or uniform motion unless an external force is applied to it. That is what is giving us Newton's first law of motion. Now, you need to note that this law is sometimes known as the law of inertia. See you in the next tutorial where we'll discuss these laws in much details. Thank you for watching.